Okay, let's get started. I'm going to grab some XABC media. This is some HD material that plays back a little sluggishly on this machine. This is a little signpost on Chapel Trail in Sedona. Anyway, I'm going to grab a portion of this and send it to the timeline. And what I'd like to do is transcode this material into something like a DNX HR low bandwidth media so that it plays back a little bit faster on this machine. I can simply set it up to transcode and create a new sequence, and that new sequence then will have this same clip transcoded. Load the transcoded sequence into the timeline. See, it's much smoother. I'm going to create a new bin and call it offline and copy these clips over. I'll actually move them over into that bin just to keep them straight, keep them separate from the original source clips. Now I'm going to create a second video track. What I want to do is use a match frame to load in the source and copy that into the second video track, so I've got an identical copy of the video on top of one another. Trim it up a bit. Okay, they're nicely lined up. I'll just activate the tracks again. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the V1, switch into FX mode, and we're going to search for Mocha. This is the Mocha Pro 5 plugin for Media Composer. You have to make sure you have your timeline set to high quality to get the best tracking possible. So we're going to use Mocha here to create a matte over top of the face of this sign. So first I need to track the sign. So I'm going to create an X-spline around the word Chapel Trail. Close it by clicking C on the keyboard, and then we're just going to select all the points and stretch them out a little bit so we've got a nice rectangular shape there. And starting from the beginning of the sequence, we'll just track forward. Okay, nice track. So we're going to hide this spline, and we're going to create a new spline where we're going to roto around the face of the sign. You can probably do this with just the 4 points as well. C to close, and then we'll stretch it out. Won't pull it quite as tight this time. Leave a slightly rounded edge there. Okay, now we're going to turn off the little gear icon here so that this spline doesn't get tracked. What we're going to do instead is link this spline in layer 2 to the tracking of layer 1. You see how it tracks very nicely now. That's great. So we can actually exit this and save it. And then we'll activate the matte view so we can see the matte there. And that's actually the output from this track that we're going to use shortly. You can see you can invert it or you can soften the edges of it, and we'll look at this a bit later. So next we're going to monitor the V2 track, and we're going to search for the Sapphire effect, which is the effect builder plugin. Pop it on V2, and we're going to set up the matte input for this effect as the track below, which is actually the matte we just created with Mocha. Now we can pop into the effect builder. Make sure we have the preview selected node on so you can see the mask, the source. We didn't include a background in this one, so it's empty. So first we're going to get a cutout filter, and we're going to put the mask into the matte input of the cutout. Then we'll grab a composite filter, And that allows us to actually put the source as the background, and then the output of the cutout will be the foreground or the front. To composite these together. Make sure the cutout is set to Luma, so it's using the mask's Luma channel for the cutout. And now we're going to drive the source, so you can see that the mask allows just the cutout area of the source through. And the two are composited at this point. Of course, you're not seeing any difference, but if we add something like a auto paint, for example, you get an interesting Van Gogh. Let's increase the frequency so we can actually read the sign. And you see that cutout, when the two are composited together, the cutout portion becomes the face of the sign. You might want to actually increase that frequency a bit more. Okay, now we can close that and go back into Media Composer. So you see the sign tracks very nicely with the Mocha matte. And we can go back to the V1 track and actually manipulate. We could invert, for example, the matte so that it's the background that has the Van Gogh effect, or we can soften up the edges a little bit so that it blends better. Drop the timeline quality just so you can scrub through it a bit faster. And what I'd like to do here is actually revert back to using, instead of the proxy media that we're using here now, the transcoded media, we can actually switch back to using the original source media and create a new linked sequence to that source that has all the effects that we just put on it. So I'm going to relink the selected media, and this will generate a new sequence. See the matte track there. We'll just actually move the monitor up to V2, and it's a bit sluggish again. You can see if I actually match frame that it's matching back to the original clip and not the transcoded clip. And then we can render this out. Just render it quickly. Okay, and that's how you drive the matte input using a Mocha mask into a Sapphire effects builder in Media Composer. Thanks for watching.